So I'd learned about what the brain was doing and different ways we could influence it. And again, I was passionate about the research behind that. And then I started learning about my background as a mental health therapist and the work I do as a doula have a lot of core themes, a lot of them relating to access and equity to wellness. But in thinking about specific moments that have influenced the work that I do now, in my undergraduate program, when I was pregnant, I had a professor at UNLV, Dr. McMurray, who taught a physiological psychology class. So we learned about how the body works, how the brain works, the chemicals in the brain. And I was fascinated because, again, mental health wasn't talked about growing up for me. Culturally, there was some stigma to that. And I didn't know the science behind it. It was, oh, that person is sad, they'll get over it. Oh, that person's happy, great. But to hear that there were actual chemical reactions in our brains, some of them out of our control, and some of those we could influence, I was amazed at that. And to think that during pregnancy, I could influence the chemical makeup of my baby or the growth of my baby, I was excited and I dove into that science. A lot of what I do in each capacity, whether that's teaching a yoga class or helping a client during pregnancy or working with somebody struggling with mental illness, a lot of that is based on research and how that research may impact the way that I deliver the services I'm giving at that time. So in thinking about undergrad, I developed definitely a respect for the science that was being done. And at that same time, I read a book, Even the Rat Was White, and it reminded me that sometimes while research is helpful, there's biases. And what we know about mental health or physical health, emotional health, doesn't always apply to different populations. For example, when we're thinking about research that's done on physical health, a lot of it is done on white males or even in mental health research. And so I got to thinking about how I could use that research to both inform me of best practices, but also help guide me in bridging the gap in research for clients that it might not apply to. So in graduate school, I was definitely propelled by a background in ethnic studies from my undergrad, and I was very mindful of that at the time. One of my classes was a multicultural psych class. So I'd learned about what the brain was doing and different ways we could influence it, and again, I was passionate about the research behind that. And then I started learning about the social dynamics and the cultural dynamics that shape our world. Each of the circles and environments that we're a part of influence who we are and how we relate to the world. So I started thinking about if we could change for the better certain areas that we were living in and navigating in, we could take away stigma for people wanting to live better lives, wanting to reach out for resources. Also during that time, we had to, as graduate students, participate in our own therapy, because how can you give therapy to someone else if you don't know what that experience is like? And I realized there were certain things that I wanted to embody as a therapist and now as a doula. I don't give advice. That's not my place. I believe that I'm a facilitator of wellness. I am a person to help bridge the gap for individuals who aren't sure where to get the resources they need. But at the end of the day, the philosophy that I have as a therapist is that each of us has our own inner wisdom, and we are wise enough to know what is positive or negative for us, what benefits us, what we need. And my role as facilitator is to help that person find their truth. My role as a doula is to help that birthing person and that family, help support them in speaking their truth, to make sure that their experience is validated and that they are given what they need to succeed. So when I practice therapy or serve as a doula for my clients, I am engaged in getting to know who they are. No matter what background a doula or a therapist has, again, it's about gut feeling. Do you feel heard by that person? Do they validate what your current experience is? Do they make you feel hopeful? And You know, I know doulas who are stay-at-home moms, have never been to formal education, who are young, and I know doulas who have PhDs, and each has their strengths, but at the end of the day, the way that I define a good doula or an effective doula or an effective therapist is somebody who can engage with another person respectfully. So part of my mission, again, as a doula or therapist, is to make sure that underserved populations get their needs met. I specialized in working with Spanish-speaking clients as a therapist, as the only Spanish speaker in my grad program. I work with LGBT clients, so you may hear me say birthing persons a lot, and that's to be inclusive. I believe that wellness should be inclusive, and so not all people who give birth identify as a mom or as a woman, and I respect that. And there's statistics. I'm really geeky about research again. So when I hear statistics like an African American mother is 4 times more likely to die in childbirth than a Caucasian mother, my first question is why? And I want to find that answer. And it boils down to, again, access. Does the research support what we're doing? So if I'm hearing that these things are effective and there's research based on it, then I'm going to do that. And if I'm hearing if there's nobody answering the question why, I want to be the person to answer that question. And so at the end of the day, it's about making sure I bridge the gap for other people and, again, being the facilitator in that.